G'day mates, Captain Doug here. Welcome to Houseboats 101. Last episode we managed to get the boat out of the slip and heading out of the marina. In this episode we'll talk about navigating in open water and eventually beaching the boat. Once away from the dock, all is not plain sailing. Depending on the layout of your marina and the location of your slip, you may have to do some significant maneuvering before you reach the wide blue sea. Houseboats do not steer from the front like a car, but from the stern, because that's where the outdrives are. So when maneuvering past the dock and into the channel, wait until the bow is past the dock finger, then turn the wheel in the direction you want to go. This will start the back of the boat swinging around. Once the bow is pointed where you want to go, center the wheel. Now a houseboat like ours is a relatively flat bottom boat, so just because you center the wheel does not mean the boat will immediately stop its turn. The back will continue to swing around due to the momentum of the turn. To counter this oversteer, turn the wheel slightly in the opposite direction until the swing has stopped, then return to your required heading. All this means you must anticipate your turns well ahead of time and plan what your exit direction is going to be. Marinas, for some reason, don't like a lot of wake being generated by passing boats. I guess they don't want to wake up all those dock captains blissfully asleep at their slips. Actually, wake in a marina or near moored boats is a bad thing, as it can cause boats to bump up against docks and put strain on mooring ropes. So most marinas will specify idle speed only while in their vicinity. However, a houseboat at idle speed will be barely moving, and from our slip location it would take us 30 minutes just to get out of the marina. Fortunately, being a flat-bottom boat and quite long, a houseboat can move at a few knots before it starts to generate any wake. So I run around 1500 RPM inside the marina, once away from the docks. Any wind bearing on a houseboat, particularly from the sides, or a beam as a sailor would say, will push the boat in that direction. So even if you are travelling forward, a side wind will push you diagonally instead. The same thing happens to aeroplanes. Just keep that in mind if you are thinking of cutting it close to the corner of a dock or another boat. You will have to correct the movement by turning the wheel just a bit to counter the effect of the wind, and again anticipate the movement of the boat and leave yourself plenty of room. Now we're out in open waters, you need to know how to handle waves and large wakes created by passing boats. You won't have to handle waves like these on inland lakes, but the principles are the same. When possible, if it suits your direction of travel, try to take the waves head on. However, most of the time other boats are heading the same way you're going or coming in an opposite direction. In this case, try to cut through the waves at a 45-degree angle to the bow or take them at 45 degrees to the stern. This will make your ride more comfortable for your guests by reducing the rocking of the boat. It will also help to keep more water in your hot tub. This method of handling waves and wake may require you to zigzag down the channel. Obviously, pushing a 30-ton boat through the water uses fuel. Houseboats don't have a planing hull where the boat accelerates and gets up on top of the water. What they do have is a displacement type hull, displacing water as it moves. The faster you go, you use exponentially more fuel. I max out our speed at about 2,000 RPM on the motors. This drives the boat at an incredible speed of, wait for it, 6 whole knots. On houseboats, we say the pleasure is in the journey, not the arrival. At 6 knots, my boat will use about 6 gallons an hour. For the main engines, this allows us to travel about 3 miles to our favourite beach and back again using about $24 worth of fuel. Incidentally, remember my discussion about carbon monoxide in a previous episode. Keep the back sliding doors closed while travelling, or exhaust gases from the engine may get drawn back into the boat by back pressure. Finally, it's time to run the boat aground. Well, not quite. Hopefully, we're just going to run up on a beach. Try and find a beach where the stern of your boat will be facing the incoming waves and wind, wave direction being the most important. This way, incoming waves will help to hold the boat onto the shoreline and won't rock the boat side to side. Line up the boat at 90 degrees to the beach and approach at idle speed. Keep a lookout as you get closer, looking for any submerged rocks or fallen trees in the way. Once the boat hits the beach, accelerate to 2,000 RPM to push the boat up onto the sand a little more, then return to idle speed. Now you might think you're all done and everyone can jump in the water. Not so fast. Just pushing the bow onto the beach is not enough, and wind and waves will tend to swing the boat sideways onto the beach. Then you're in real trouble. Pick a beach that has trees near the shoreline if possible. Then have the deckhand take each beaching rope out and tie up at about 45 degrees from the stern to the trees. In particularly windy weather, even though you should probably still be at the dock, or where there are significant waves hitting the boat, you may need to add a front rope from the bow to prevent the boat from sliding along the beach or being pulled off the beach. The captain should always stay at the helm during this process, with the engines in forward at idle speed, to keep the boat at 90 degrees to the shore. Once the boat is tied off and secure, only then can the captain shut down the engines and leave the helm. While you're at the beach, if you leave the generator running, one thing to keep in mind is carbon monoxide. If your boat has a side exhaust for the generator, like our boat does, and it's a day without any wind, keep the back doors closed and keep the kids away from the exhaust side of the boat. You can shut your generator down and run on inverter power if no heavy loads, like air conditioning or hot tub, are needed. When you're ready to leave the beach, follow the startup procedure you used when leaving the dock. Run the engine room blower for a few minutes, then start both engines. Engage forward gear on both motors to hold the boat on the beach while the crew untie the ropes. If there is wind blowing from one side or the other of the boat, have the crew untie the rope on the opposite side or lee side of the wind direction first. After that rope is in, you may have to turn the boat a little on the beach to release the tension on the rope on the windward side before it can be untied. Once the ropes are reeled in and all the crew are aboard, move the throttles into reverse. At this stage, you may have to accelerate to get the boat off the beach. If the boat appears stuck on the beach, turn the wheel hard left, then hard right again and again until the boat starts to move. Once free of the beach, idle out in reverse until well clear of the beach area. At this stage, you can pivot the boat using the same method you used when leaving the dock. When finally pointed in the right direction, engage both motors forward and accelerate away from the beach, back into open water. You're on your way back to the dock. Now comes the hard part. Check out the next episode when I take you through docking maneuvers and get this big bad boy back home again. Cheers, mates.